Welcome to the wonderful world of gospel piano. Since 1968, Henry Slaughter has taught his unique piano styling through the Henry Slaughter Gospel Piano Course. It is designed to be easy enough for the beginner, yet challenging enough to provide a lifetime of study. And now, here is your instructor, Henry Slaughter.
And thank you, and hello again, and here we are with lesson 1 in book 3. Do not hide or forget or lose, let me put it that way, lose book 1 and book 2. I'd suggest that you keep playing back all through those books. Play those songs for pleasure, and you're playing them well enough now, and there's enough music in there. You're playing them in such a way it should be fun and enjoyable, not only for you, but your friends as they listen to you play. And keep up on that and keep all those chords in mind. We've learned all our chords. We've learned a simple way of playing the left hand now to give it rhythm. So keep up with that. I'd suggest that you take all those soundtracks and play over them every once in a while. Just play all those songs, and you will know that you are keeping up to date in the things that you are supposed to know, and the things that you could forget some of the things. But if you keep playing those, you'll be sure that you know all the things that you should know at this point and keep remembering them. Now, if you know that, and if you're ready, we're ready for book 3. And book 3 is primarily teaching you to play songs other than the one line of melody with the chord written above it, because you're going to have to learn to analyze chords when the chords are not written there. We're going to be doing that in book 3. Now, the first page of music that we have in book 3, by the way, be sure to read about the course. It'll give you a lot more understanding about the course, and about book 3 will give you more detailed information as to what will be taken up here in book 3. Page 5, we have some different time signatures. Up until this point, we've only had 3/4 time and 4/4 time, which is the common usage. Most songs are written in that time signature. But we're going to be running across songs in 6/4 time, 6/8 time, 9/8 time, 12/8 time, and I've given a demonstration of how that should be played on page 5. As we take those up, we'll be referring back to page 5. But let's go to page 6 and get into how some songs are played, written in 4/4 time. Many songs are written seemingly in strict 4/4 time. For instance, a song like Mansion Over the Hilltop. Mansion Over the Hilltop is written to be played like this. If we went strictly if we looked at the music and said, how is this song to be played? It would be like this. Oh, I'm sorry. 1, 2, 3. All right, 1, 2, 3, 4. But now, most of the times, if it's ever played, it's played in like this. I've got a mansion just over there. Now that would be double time, is what we call double time. It's better understood if you'll say 8/8 time. 8 beats to the measure, 1 beat to every 8th note. Top of the page shows how that the song What a Savior, it was actually written in time that you would play it like 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2. But always we use that song planted in 8/8 time. So you see, it takes half the room to print a song if you write it in that 4/4 time. But if you play it in 8/8 time, it'll take twice as much time, a space to write it out. So that's some of the reason, and that the songs are written that way, and also it gives you options how to play the song. So if you'll study closely, play it just like it's written up there. It shows how the bass chord, 1, 2, 3, 4. Then down at the bottom page, double time, 8/8 time. 8 beats to the bar, and 1 beat per 8th note. And so we'll play it, and I've written it out exactly how the chords will come in there on the 8ths instead of quarters. Before now, we've been playing quarter notes, 1 beat on a quarter note, but now we're going to play 1 beat every 8th note. So that makes it double time. So What a Savior will sound like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 6, 7, 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. See what I mean? Now, the great song that demonstrates that is on page 7. Up at the top of the page, we show it, first of all, how it is in the regular time it is written, 4/4 time. Just a closer walk with thee. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Now, in 8/8 time, it goes this way. So double up everything. A note that gets 1 beat in 4/4 time gets 2 beats in this. Or a dotted quarter gets 3 beats instead of a beat and a half. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right? Now, the song Just a Closer Walk with Thee, I want you to practice it the same way. Just 2, 3, 4, 1, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now, after you practice that and you got all your chords to get in there now, then you take out your soundtrack and play with it. And the soundtrack is in 8/8 time. Now, if the engineer in there will roll the song Just a Closer Walk with Thee, and I'll play along with it, and this is what it sounds like when you play along with it. Roll it. Book 3, Lesson 1, page 7. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, you see how that works? You just double up the time, and we'll be doing a lot of songs like that. Read carefully page 8. Page 8 will be telling you, well, the art of playing by the chord system without the symbols. Now, so in order to get you used to reading the 4 lines of the bass, alto, and the bass, tenor, and alto, and soprano, all those parts, I think we ought to play a couple of songs where you see the whole scope of the music, the 4 or the 2 lines with the 4 parts, but the chord is written above it. But I want you to gradually begin to look at more than just that soprano and alto and the chord, because from now on we're going to have to learn and analyze that chord by looking at all those vocal parts to determine the chord. But let me play you a song that the chord is written above it, and it's for your enjoyment. One of the songs that I've written that Hazel and I recorded and was quite a favorite. I'm On My Way. by no means do I mean all the songs that we're going to be doing on 4/4 time, we're going to do them in 8/8 time. I'm not saying that. This song is 4/4 time, and it was written in 1963. And by that time, we were doing sheet music, and if we wanted folks to put it in double time, we wrote it in quarter notes. But some of the older songs back there were not written that way, and so you need to know about playing them in double time. If I play that in double time, it would be... See there? Very beautiful. So song shouldn't be played that way, but it should be played in the 4/4 time. 3, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. I'll be telling you those that we want to play in double time or 8/8 time. Same thing on page 10 is just another song that'll get you used to playing with the chord symbols written above it and the 4-part harmony. Get an eye, keep especially on that bass note down there because it's going to tell you a lot. I'll have time to play part of the song for you before we go. But so let's just start at the top of the page. 4/4 time to be played in 4/4 time. And you notice now we got a little variety with our right hand playing that alto note instead of just an octave. We're playing an alto harmony note with it. Remember, this music, all this music is 4-part harmony, and sometimes the alto and soprano do not make good harmony. So you may want to put some different notes in there, the ones that are written. But basically, for the time being, sound good or not, we'll just play the alto and soprano and the chords with it, okay? That's half the song. I'll finish it up as we go out today, but you see now how the different sounds we're beginning to get with the soprano and the alto, and we're going to be learning to analyze the chords. And you're going to enjoy it. It's going to bring some diversity to your music, and it's a very important step in your music, what we're taking up in Book 3. So until we meet again, God bless, and keep on playing.
Keep those studies up now, and remember, the best form for learning is repetition. So go back over each lesson until you become proficient. Until next time, so long. The Henry Slaughter Gospel Piano Course is a production of Henry and Hazel Incorporated.
Welcome to the wonderful world of gospel piano. Since 1968, Henry Slaughter has taught his unique piano styling through the Henry Slaughter Gospel Piano Course. It is designed to be easy enough for the beginner, yet challenging enough to provide a lifetime of study. And now, here is your instructor, Henry Slaughter.
Thank you, and we continue in our studies in the art of playing gospel music by chords without the symbols. We're not quite to that point today. I believe we will begin our study in how to do that. Up until now, as you know, we have always had the chord symbols written above the line of music so to tell us what chord to play. I don't know whether you noticed it or not, but on the song that we took up on page 10, the last one we had, Take the World But Give Me Jesus, all those bass lines, the bass tenor, on alto and soprano, that four-part harmony, it just so happens on that song, all the bass lines will tell you what chord to play. That won't be true as we go. Some of the simple songs are done that way, but as we go further, that will not be the case. I want you to gradually begin to look at all four of those notes, and we'll take some simple songs to start with, and these first two or three songs today, we will use the chord symbols, but keep looking at those other members of that chord, or the four-part harmony, because that's very important as we'll be taken up in our lesson today. So if you'll turn with me now to page 11, let me share with you a song. I'm going to play it with the right hand in the treble clef there, the alto and the soprano. I'll play that just as it is, and then I'll put the bass or the octave chord with it, the way we played it in our book 1 and book 2, but gradually look down. Most of the times in this song, the bass note will give you a clue, and basically 90% of the time, of what the chord is going to be. For instance, it starts out with an F in the bass, and it continues on over when the chord changes to E. There's an E in the bass. A G minor. Now, the bass note's not going to tell you whether it's major or minor. You'll have to know that by looking at the other members of the chord. Going to gradually get into that. Don't think it's too complicated at this point. For a little bit by little bit, we'll find ourselves doing that, and it's not going to be a complicated procedure for you. What a precious friend is he, page 11. Again, let me remind you that not always does that, or do the alto and the soprano make for good harmony. That is really not good harmony. You'll find out later it's better. Hear the difference? But right now, don't want you to think of too many things. Just play it like it is. And we'll learn how to, and that fifth, that's not really good. Six are okay. Hear the They would be better for this. And you may try some of the other notes in the chord when it kind of sounds a little strange. Try putting another chord, another one of the notes in there, replacing that, and you may find one that sounds better. If it sounds better, play it that way. Remember, we're training our ear to hear and to play what sounds best, and to discard that which does not sound good, and to inspire us to develop, inspire us and to develop our ear as to what sounds good and what we should be playing extemporaneously. So remember that as you play that. Page 12 and 13, just more songs. I think most of the time on this, as you follow along with me, that the bass note will tell you basically what that next chord's going to be. But it won't tell you whether it's it'll tell you the fundamental of it. It'll tell you that like it's a G chord, but it won't tell you if it's a G minor or G major or a G diminished, a G augmented, but it will give you a basic clue. The other members of the chord will tell you those things. So let me play for you now pages 12 and 13. I think I can play that better. There again, on that ending, you know, the ending that fourth, that doesn't sound too good. It would be better if we took the tenor note. Like that. Sometimes it's hard to play those, and I hear them and get distracted on what I'm wanting to play it, just the way that's going to be played, that when you play it. And it's a little difficult for me to just restrain myself to play it exactly at the level and the things that we've just talked about. And so sometimes I get like that second line up there, and I had to fumble my way through it. But that second line, just show you I can play it. Okay. And it's going to seem a little awkward sometimes playing the notes, those soprano and alto notes. And if it is, just make it easier. Just make sure that you get the melody in there at this point. Because in Book 4, we're going to be getting to the full chords in the right hand, and we're going to correct a lot of these odd sounds. But for Book 3, let's just play the soprano and alto, though it sounds odd sometimes. We're working on the left hand, and remember, we're learning to analyze chords and to recognize them. That's exactly what we do on page 14. Page 14, recognizing chords. Now, in the first score here, we have songs that are in the first position. Chords have three different positions. There are different inversions, but I think it's easier to understand that this is your first, like C, E, G, C is the first position of C chord. And if you take the C off and put it on top, which makes E, G, C, would make the second position. It's actually the second, I'm begging your pardon, the first inversion, but it's the second position. So let's forget about inversions and call C, E, G as the first position, and E, G, C as the second position, and G, C, E, third position. Now, I explained that on page 14. On the first score, you have songs, no chord is written above it. But you can see how its chords are in the first position. But the bass note is always in the first position. The bass note will be on the fundamental of the chord. And all of those are first position. The second position would be, and the third position would be with the G and the bass. And we're working with C chord, F chord, G chord, and D chord. It's good if you'll get the chord, look at those chords, play those, and then the F, play those, because you're going to see this in four harmony, and you're going to have to know it, okay? All of those in the first position. Now on page 15, we have a song that does not have the chord written above it. Check the bottom note, the bass note, to cue you as to what that chord is. There'll be major chords, nothing tricky on this, but there'll be, you'll have to look at the bass note to determine what chord you're going to be playing. And so I'll play a little bit of it. So you practice this song, and then get at your soundtrack and play it with it, okay? Engineer, if you will roll the soundtrack, this is how you'll be playing and sounding when you play this song the way we've taught up to this point. Roll it. Book 3, Lesson 2, page 15. 1, 2, 3, 4. So you see how that is? Just follow that bass chord line, and it'll do it every time. The first, as long as it's on C, you're playing C. When it goes to F, you go to F. When it goes to D, go to D. And so we only have those. We have C, F, G, and D for you to recognize, and they are all in the first position. So you have no problems with that if you just follow that bass note. Now, next lesson we're going to get into when it's in a different position. Now, that's a different animal altogether. But we'll be getting to that next time. So work on that and look at the 4-part harmony, read your chords from that. Until next time, God bless, and we see you then.
Keep those studies up now, and remember, the best form for learning is repetition. So go back over each lesson until you become proficient. Until next time, so long. The Henry Slaughter Gospel Piano Course is a production of Henry and Hazel Incorporated.
Welcome to the wonderful world of gospel piano. Since 1968, Henry Slaughter has taught his unique piano styling through the Henry Slaughter Gospel Piano Course. It is designed to be easy enough for the beginner, yet challenging enough to provide a lifetime of study. And now, here is your instructor, Henry Slaughter.
Thank you, and hello again. Well, we've been talking about it, and we've been easing up on it today. We're going to get into it, and get into it quickly. How to recognize chords in the first, second, and third positions, and to play the right chord when the chord symbols are not up there. Now, we left you last time on page 15 playing a song that did not have the symbols, but it was a very simple song. Up until that point, you can do songs that way that do not have any inversions or chords in the second position. You can play some of those. You may find other songs in your hymn book or other songs that you could study and do and play and not have any problems. But most songs will have inversions in the chords, and therefore it's going to take some doing to know what those chords are. For instance, you could have an E in the bass and it not be an E chord. It could be a C chord in the first position. If you look with me on page 16, I show the same chords in different positions. I show the first, second, and third positions of each one of those chords. And then I'll show you also on that first staff how they are used in a song and how you will see them. When you see a chord written that way in the 4-part harmony, you'll know it's in a different position, but the same chord. I don't think I need to go over those, but I think you would, as we see the difference, as we play the songs, for instance, on page 17, we're going to be able to see how the chords are in a different position and to recognize that chord. But before we do that, we've got to go, since our song on page 17 is in 6/8 time. Remember when I talked about on the first lesson in book 3? We need now to go to the page 5 and look at some 6/8 time, how to play 6/8 time. Now, this isn't a strict rule, but this is the way we're going to do it now. This is the way we're going to play 6/8 time, so I can give you some examples in learning how to recognize chords. In 6/8 time, let's play it strictly 6/8, as being 6 beats to the measure, 1 beat to every 8th note. Now, so I hope I won't confuse you more, but you know, the song of, let me give you an example. It says, Love Lifted Me is written in 6/8 time. If to play that song properly done, the way you'll play it in your church will really be 2/4 time. I was sinking deep in sin. But in 6/8 time, if we did it strict, it is, and the way we're going to do this would be, I was sinking deep in sin. Properly, it should be played with the 2/4 time, but for what we want to accomplish now, let's play it strictly 6/8 time. 6 beats to the measure, 1 beat to every 8th note, and it's played this way. Follow with me on the second line of page 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3. Keep playing it that way several times, and you'll see how 6/8 time, that in that quarter note, it gets 2 counts. The dotted quarter gets 3 counts. See? And if you do that several times, you'll have no problem with this on page. Now let's go back over here to on 17, playing a song that's in 6/8 time. There again, you'll hear it played in church, a wonderful story of love. But what we're trying to accomplish today is for you to recognize chords, so we're going to play it slow. Now, I've written out the bass chord, bass chord on those first 2 measures. Show you how that goes. Wonderful story of love, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. No problems, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's what we're after. Now all of these chords, when you see the bass note, it does not necessarily tell you that chord. Let's look up at the top of the page, because this is what we're going to be running into in this song. You notice up at how to play various chords in different positions in the left hand. Sometimes you're going to have an E instead of a C in that bass, in the chord of C. And you need to go ahead and play C on the first one, and then if it's a second position, play E. See there? But you're playing E, but you play a C chord. Now, don't let that confuse you with playing an E. Up until now, we played an E, we played an E chord, but not now. We're going to play a E, but play a C chord. All right, first position, second position, same thing. Here's a G, but it's not a G chord. It's a C chord, G. It's going to really color up your playing. And the same thing in a G chord, second position. You need to practice all of these. Third position, F, first position, second position, third position. Makes it all right. And the D, second position, and third position, first position. All right, now let's play the song. I stopped about in the middle of the second line. Now, where it says, wake the immortal strain, and in the I've got one more bar of F, angels with rapture of Now, right on that note, you notice it is a C in the bass, but it's not a C chord. How do I know it? Because I'm playing an F and an A. F-A-C is an F chord. So you got an F chord there in the third position. So you play a C in the bass. I've got it written out exactly how that is to the left of you. And I point right to that one note where it's an F chord, but a C in the bass, but an F chord. All right, let's play that line again that says, angels with rapture announce it. Angels with rapture, F chord, but C in the bass. Isn't that pretty? That makes it good, all right? Continue. Shepherds, wonder, receive it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Coming up is a G in the bass, but it's not a G chord. I've marked these for you now, and I've shown you exactly how that measure should be played, right to the left. It's a C chord in the third position, G in the bass, wonderful, and a G, regular G chord. Play that a couple of times, or 2 or 3 times. Wonderful story of love. All right, continue on. Wonder. All right, let me play that. See how something is wrong there? Listen. Listen. Sound like something is wrong because I'm playing F and A in my right hand, but it says C in the bass. Oh, it is C on the first wonderful one. That is C, but when it goes to F and A, it changes chords, but it's still C in the bass. That's a F chord in the third position. So let's sing wonderful again. Wonderful. See there? Okay. Continue on. Same thing again. That's an F chord. Good. Your ear will tell you this, something is wrong. C chord in third position. How do you know this then? You say, okay, C, E, G is a C chord. Well, what is a F, A, C? Oh, F chord. That's the way you tell it. If something sounds a little way off, wiry, out of zinc, and it doesn't sound right, check the other members of your chord, and it'll tell you that the other member, F, A, C, has to be an F chord, cannot be a C chord, no matter what's in the bass. And it can be F, A, or C in the bass. Remember that. Don't hurry to the next place. Play over this a lot because this is going to be awkward for you for a little while. And if you have to stop right here in this lesson, don't go any farther until you get that done. Just stop right here, cut off your VCR, and go do this and work at it until you get that done. Then when you finish, and you can do that easy, the next song is basically the same thing. I only have one place, well, 2 places that the chords are in different position. And that's, oh, let's start with the chorus, and I'll show you the first one there. It's like calling to D in the bass, but you got a G and a B. A G, B, D is a G chord. I show you to the right of the page exactly what that is, how to play it. Day, and so forth. All the other chords are the same as the bass note will tell you in major chords. Then the next to the last bar on page of the song Tenderly, he is tenderly calling today. You got a C chord in the second position. If I played a G chord, see how odd that would be? I bet. Calling today. Page 19 is 1 and 4/4 time, and those are marked. I want to hurry and be sure I get to the song on page 20 for you to play There Is a Fountain with the soundtrack. I've marked with a big X on the bottom, each place that there is inversion of the chord or a chord in a different position. I haven't told you what it is. You've got to find that out. All right? So it's a chord in the second, but it's still a C chord. And I want you to play that bass chord. Play the E there instead of a chord, okay? There is a fountain filled. colors up your music. Those inversions are in there for a purpose to bring real color to your music. If the engineer will roll the soundtrack, let's play There's a Fountain. Book 3, Lesson 3, page 20. 1, 2, 3. Now, I didn't have time to work with you on page 19, but I will next time. I'll start with Evan. So just skip on over there and play There's a Fountain with the soundtrack and work with that, and I'll get into When I See the Blood next time when we gather. Don't get frustrated. Things are great. You're doing great. Just take it slow and just don't try to rush into anything, and it'll come. It'll take a little time, but you'll get there. Hey, we'll see you later when you're ready for the next lesson.
Keep those studies up now, and remember, the best form for learning is repetition. So go back over each lesson until you become proficient. Until next time, so long. The Henry Slaughter Gospel Piano Course is a production of Henry and Hazel Incorporated.
Welcome to the wonderful world of gospel piano. Since 1968, Henry Slaughter has taught his unique piano styling through the Henry Slaughter Gospel Piano Course. It is designed to be easy enough for the beginner, yet challenging enough to provide a lifetime of study. And now, here is your instructor, Henry Slaughter.
Thank you, and we continue on with our songs and our instruction in how to recognize chords without the cymbals. When I left you last time on a lesson, I was not able to complete and play page 19. I'm not going to play over that, but let me just bring your attention. If you'll turn to that page, I will play the measures that there are chords in it in different positions. I want to do this quite a bit because there's a lot of material to follow, and a lot of this I don't want to take up the time of just playing those things that you already know how to do. But on the third line, third stanza of When I See the Blood on page 19, you will have, yes, he will play on that X's, that means, those X's, that means that there's a chord in a different position than what the bass note shows. It's G in the bass, but it's the C chord. Again. And the same thing happens on the next to the last bar in the chorus. And the last chord in the song, the measure, pardon me, the last measure, there's a F chord on the second beat. I will pass over you, goes to an F chord. Hear it? Start learning this by ear. This is going to a different chord. Hear it? So it's and you can play a chord or just what it's written, just the way it's written, and it'll all be right. Okay? So we know, of course, we know how to play There Is a Fountain, and I'll bring your attention to it's a 6/8. Well, maybe I better play some of this because it's 6/8 time. Remember now we're doing the 6/8 time, 6 beats to the measure, 1 beat to every 8th note, and most of this song is simple, and you know how to do it, and they're in the first position, all the chords, except for the second bar in the second line, second stanza, the second bar. Love in the book. That's a G chord with a D in the bass, but the chord is G, and the third beat is D. Book he has given, and the same thing occurs in the last measure in the third stanza. In the da 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 da, Jesus loves me, and I'm saying the same thing. I'm really quoting what's to the right. I've written that out and tell you exactly what to do. Play D octave on the first beat, G chord on the second, and D on the third beat. All right, so that's enough for 21. I've marked the chords, and I think I can play through this one, A Wonderful Words of Light, 6/8 time. And remember now, the quarter note's going to get 2 counts, 8th note's going to get 1 count, dotted quarter is going to get 3 counts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. D in the bass, but a G chord. On the third beat is a D chord. Beg your pardon? D in the bass, but a G chord on the second beat, D chord on the third. Didn't play the right melody, but let me more of their beauty see, and so forth. Third stanza, G in the bass, but it's a C chord. 2, 3, hear it? Like the G. C chord. And the other chords are the same, or it's clear on those. Now the song, Nothing But the Blood, I have marked with X. I want you to go ahead and play D. I want you to get used to playing, it's in preparation of the 4th chord, but it gets you used to playing one thing in the bass when it's not that chord. Like on the third beat, it's a G chord, but play D because you're going to have the next chord is D. And, beg your pardon, again. Got 4 of them in that song. That's the only thing different about that song. In the Sweet By and By, we have 2 places in this song where there are different chords other than what it appears to be. The third stanza, first measure, to prepare us a dwelling place there. On the 4th beat of that measure, you got half of it is a G chord and half of it is a D chord. When it's that way, I guess the ideal thing would be to play both of them in there, but I don't want to confuse you at this point or demand too much of you and have you to play them both. You could play it quickly in a G and a D chord, but if you just don't want to do one chord, play a D chord. The other one will sound a little strange and a little bit like of a suspension, but it'll work. C, D, D chord. And the last measure, next to the last measure of the song, me, it's a D in the bass, but it's a G chord. Really colors up your music. Heavenly Sunlight, page 24, 9/8 time. Let's play it in strict 9/8 time. Now you'll notice that I have written some dashes under some chords, under some notes, I want you to play those in octaves. like a walking in. Anytime you see that dash, just play them in octaves. Walking in. Remember, 9/8 time, 9 beats to the measure, 8, 1 beat to the every 8th note. So we start at 7, 8, 9, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Got an A chord here with an E in the bass. Second position. Beg your pardon, the third position. E in the bass, but an A chord. First position would be, but third position would be, and that's the only thing strange in that song. You have another one in the chorus, but I didn't mark it. You watch for it. It's in the chorus, so watch it. Nothing in the thing on He Loves Me that's very simple. I just got you changed into doing a bass note that's a little bit different, like instead of playing a chord, play that inversion. It's written there, so it's better if you don't play a chord. Better, instead of playing a chord, play that inversion. Very good. All right. Then with Revive Us Again, a lot of those. All right. Let me look at that again. Here we go. That's the only thing I have different in that song. The last measure, we'll get some different sounds in there, more color. On the next to the last bar, revive us again. So those octaves, that kind of helps it. It gets out of the monotony of doing dum, dum, dum. I know you probably said, I'll be glad when I get to play something else of that. Well, we're learning to play 1, 2, 3, all 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, da, 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 dum, 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 dum. So it colors up that bass. Now, let me hurry and get to, well, before I take up anything different, in case I get a little short on time here to end, let's go ahead and play page 28 from the soundtrack. There's hardly anything too different in this. Just the X is where I've marked it X. There is a different chord than not in the first position, so watch for that. And if Mike will run the soundtrack, this was the way you would be playing the song, I Would Not Be Denied, like this.
Book 3, Lesson 4, page 27. 1, 2, 3.
All right, now let's, for the remaining time that I have, let's go back to page 26. It's okay to play the top part of, or the first two scores of I Surrender All, even like it's written. It's kind of pretty, give you some diversion, something to make it sound different. I like this, you have to play the soprano note and the tenor note with the same hand. I love it this way. So play that just like it's written, and then when you get down through the chorus, D chord with an A in the bass. All right, Blessed Assurance. 9/8 time, 7, 8, 9, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. G, put a G in the bass. A chord with an E in the bass. E, regular E. A. G with a D in the bass, but a D chord on the next one. see how it does that now? It's a G chord with a D in the bass, then a D chord, but then the next one is a G chord. But in the music, it just shows with a D in the bass. And D with it. This is my song, praising my G. All right, a D chord. Pretty, isn't it? Nice. See the color that's coming in that bass now by playing these inversions, the different positions of the chord. And you'll notice we say, why are we doing so many hymns? Well, the hymns show this more than any others, but you're going to be doing it in all kinds of music. What has been established in these hymns follows through in all of our gospel music now. And you'll learn from these, and the songs that are familiar, the songs that you can use. Well, it's good to have been with you. You just kind of stay in there and practice. You've got a lot of songs, a lot of things that you're to perfect. Don't necessarily get in a big hurry, because this is very important in your studies. I think I come back very often to that song, Mansion Over the Hilltops, like I was playing that bass and the walk-up things, you know, like, I've got a mansion, dun, 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 dun. Those things that color those notes up. Good inversion there. Later on, we're going to be doing some more things that will color that up. So if it feels a little monotonous now on some of the things you're doing in that left hand, you just wait. It's going to get unmonotonous after a while, because we're going to be doing some other things that will give more color to it. Well, till next time, keep on playing the piano and enjoying your music, and I'll see you for the next lesson when you're ready.
Keep those studies up now, and remember, the best form for learning is repetition. So go back over each lesson until you become proficient. Until next time, so long. The Henry Slaughter Gospel Piano Course is a production of Henry and Hazel Incorporated.
Welcome to the wonderful world of gospel piano. Since 1968, Henry Slaughter has taught his unique piano styling through the Henry Slaughter Gospel Piano Course. It is designed to be easy enough for the beginner, yet challenging enough to provide a lifetime of study. And now, here is your instructor, Henry Slaughter.
Hello again. I hope that my playing the songs at the end of the program each time, you know, I pick some song And I don't play it exactly the way that you would be playing it if you were having that song. I go ahead and embellish it with some things in the right hand. But I'm hoping that you'll catch on that when I play Mansion Over the Hilltop, you can hear that same thing that I've been teaching for that left hand. You know, like you hear that? So when I just play naturally, I want you to know those are the fundamentals that I'm using. Now, the farther you go, as we have already in Book 3, we kind of break some of those rules that we established on our first lessons. And the farther we go, we'll be doing more of that. And that's why when I just play without thinking about you playing it that way or playing that just the plain melody, I get into some of those other things. Don't let that confuse you. I'm showing you by that where we headed, and for you to put your own personality into your music the way I have. No one would play Mansion Over the Hilltop exactly the way I played it, and no one will play it exactly the way you do it, but we would do the fundamentals the same way. That's what we're teaching in the Henry Slaughter Gospel Piano course and what we're trying to get over to you. All right, I hope you're having fun with these inversions and these different positions of the chords because you're really developing your ear in this when you hear a different bass note than what the chord is. In the simplest forms of music, for instance, if a quartet or someone were singing without the music and they were just making up their parts, more than likely they would use the first position most of the time. But when you get into the written music, to make it more colorful, you would want to use the inversions. And you can always tell when someone is faking, what we call faking the harmony, then singing the harmony as someone would do it by the rules of harmony. All right, if you're ready, we'll turn to page 28. We're doing the same thing as we've been doing in the other. We're just getting into other keys, and that's what we want to continue to do. So in your practicing, get to the new chords like D and G, and I think the same ones that we won't have any new ones on this, but we're going to get into B flat and E flat and to get into those inversions. All right? I don't have anything particular new on page 28. As inversion, that's pretty. The first measure there, it's optional with me, and I think I would probably do it this way the second time. I didn't mark it for you to play it this way, but if it's all right with me, if you play it this way, with a chord on the fourth beat, or to go back and play that bass note an octave. Now listen at it this way. Kind of like that. Probably at the way we have been playing it, it'd be more natural for you right now to go ahead and play the chord. Do it both ways. But I think the more proper way to do it, if anyone was singing it, would be for you to go and play that bass note back on the fourth count octave instead of a chord. It adds more color to your playing, more variety. There are no other new things in that whole song other than that, so let's don't take time to go through that. Page 29 is 4/4 time in the key of D, no tricks, no inversions, so just enjoy playing it, all right? On the bottom of page 29, you'll have the B flat chord in the first position, second position, and third, so you can practice that. First position, and second position, play the D in the bass, and the third position, F in the bass. Do a lot of those. See the difference? All right, then you're ready to play the page 30, which you will have a B flat chord in there. And that chord there is a C chord, C seventh, and it'd be all right if you play the bass. And there's nothing else different or new in that song. Page 31, top of the page, look to the Lamb of God. I'll play the two measures in here that we have something that's different. Let me get a little higher on that. just gives a lot of color. The last stanza of that song, the first measure, for he alone can, for he alone is able to save you. Nothing new in that. The second bar or second measure on the third stanza is like this. And a B flat chord on the second measure, with an F in the bass. And what I mean by that, you know that it's an F in the bass, but it's not an F chord. It's a B flat chord because the other members change. Flat chord. All right, and the fourth beat, you got a D in the bass, and this is a little strange because, well, you got a B and an F and a G. When you put all those together and you kind of look down, you can tell, well, that's a G chord, G, B, D, F. That's a G7 chord. So if you play the D in the bass, it would be like this. All right. Nothing funny about that, or strange. Sometimes we call strange places funny places. Maybe sound a little bit funny, but it's not funny. It's just strange. Page 33, beg your pardon, page 32, is our song for the track. Let me play through this one. Let me play the chorus because there's just one part here in the chorus that's a little strange. You'll have to work out. Have it written out with the notation on the side that says this: the fifth measure in the fourth score is the only place that may prove to be troublesome. Anytime you have a difficult passage, work it out with extreme care and endless patience. And if we'll look at that measure, it'll be a C chord. I play those in there because there are some passing parts, but it's on the same chord. Actually, it's a ninth chord, but we hadn't gotten into ninth chords in there, anything in that yet. But you won't have any problem with that if you play a C7 and go ahead and play those notes in the alto. That's the only troublesome spot in the song. I love this song, Is Your All on the Altar. It's a song it has spoken to me, still speaks to me, and I believe you'll enjoy playing it. And again, don't just do music now. See, when you play this, and you play it well after you get the music down, sing over it. Have someone sing with you and listen to the words. Now, if Mike will run the soundtrack, let's show you the way that you'll be playing Is Your All on the Altar, page 32.
Book 3, Lesson 5, page 32. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2.
You may, and you're playing that, on that in the fourth score, that place where there's a little troublesome place, there's a fermata there that makes a hole. I played all the way through it. You have your options to stop or not there. I think most people would stop So I do not do that on the soundtrack, so we wouldn't have a trouble getting started again. But when you're playing that without the soundtrack, Spirit control, stop. You can only be blessed and have peace and sweet rest as you yield him your body and soul. I hope that you read over these words in these songs, the things that I've said and those songs spoke to us, eternal truths, they continue. And we find them in our hymns. I know that there are a lot of people today who said, oh, let's don't do those old songs. Well, the only reason they are burnt out and they do not speak to us is because we do not concentrate on the words. These are saying the same thing here as what our new songs are saying about dedication unto the Lord and having it all on the altar. And if you listen to those words, they just say the truth. You have longed for sweet peace and for faith to increase. And we all do that. We have earnestly, fervently prayed, but you cannot have rest or be perfectly blessed until you all on the altar is laid. Now, we have different terminology and different things that we're saying like that today, but these truths live on, and I want something more happening into you and your music playing than just playing the music. Because after all, you're conveying a message. If you'll play the song properly and the person know those who are listening to you, they know those words will minister to them when they are not being said. For instance, this song on the next page, there's power in the blood. No one can, you just can't play power in the blood without hearing the words, there is power, power. So for that reason, be conscientious and meditate upon those words. And if you did that, when you play, and when you're playing for church, you're playing yourself, if you'll think on those words and meditate upon those, chances are you'll have a better communication of getting those words across to other people. They will hear them more if you will be doing it when you are playing those. Now, we've up to page 32, and we've covered up to B flat. We've still gotten several more keys to go in this book. But basically what we're going to be doing now is going through the rest of the chords. They get a little more difficult because we're not familiar with some of those keys, but we'll be taking those up. But basically the same thing, and go through all your chords, go through all your the keys, and play those different positions. Now we'll be taking up E flat and A flat, and get used to playing something else in the bass besides the fundamental, and we'll get into all of those keys and get used to that, and you're going to be in great shape. Well, until next time, happy playing, enjoy your music, and God bless you.
Keep those studies up now, and remember, the best form for learning is repetition. So go back over each lesson until you become proficient. Until next time, so long. The Henry Slaughter Gospel Piano Course is a production of Henry and Hazel Incorporated. Welcome to the wonderful world of gospel piano. Since 1968, Henry Slaughter has taught his unique piano styling through the Henry Slaughter Gospel Piano Course. It is designed to be easy enough for the beginner, yet challenging enough to provide a lifetime of study. And now, here is your instructor, Henry Slaughter.
Thank you. And here we are with Book 3, Lesson 6. And we are right in the middle, as you know, of learning to play the music without the chord symbols written above it. Analyzing chords. Now we've got our chord, we're now playing in keys up to B flat now. So I think it's very important you not only play these songs and notice these places where we have marked, but if I were you, I would get a selected hymn book of favorite songs. I select songs from that, not too difficult songs. Run through strum through the book and find those songs that have a few of these inversions, these chords in different positions, and play those along with it. And if I were you, I would not rush this at this point of trying to see how quick I could get through with Book 3. It is very important that you read all those notes, those four-part harmony, and seeing those. It is true that we're going to be doing this without music. But when you hear songs and you hear inversions in songs, you'll be able to hear that because you have been playing that. The more that you play inversions, the more that you're going to hear it when other people play it, and the more that your ear is going to catch on and to do it. Even when you're just playing by ear or a tune, the chord and just the line of music. So all this is an attempt to improve your ear. You cannot, unless you're just super talented, hear all of this incidental we just hear this music by no training whatsoever. If you just hear songs, and maybe what I'm trying to say is if you just hear songs in the first position, that's all that you're going to be able to play. But if you hear better music and the chords being inverted, then you're going to be able to hear music when you create it yourself. So our attempt in this series is not only to teach you how to do some fundamental things, but also to train that ear. Now, songs that we have today, it's starting with, has No Tricks in it. It's a very popular song. There's only one or two places that we have anything to color it up, even from the just playing the soprano and alto note and the basic rhythm. So you'll notice that some of the times through this, we pick a song that is not difficult. And all this to do is to encourage you to keep playing and not be in fear of turning to that next page. We want to move up now through the remaining chords and get you familiar with all of this in the remaining part of the book. So we're at the key of B flat, and we will be doing some, you might as well get used to doing the E flat inversions. I would just get a triad in my right hand with it and do some bass chords in the first position, and then the second position, and third position, second position, and the first. So you'll be able to. And sometimes when you listen to music, I know it is probably difficult with me, it's harder to hear songs in those different positions until you hear it often. But that's the idea. I want you to hear it often, so when you hear that being played, you still know that that's a E flat chord with a third of the chord or of the key in your fundamental on the bass. And that'll come as you do more of it. So with that, let's just enjoy playing There's Power in the Blood. time I had a little difficulty with my hands being so close down here. If you are playing in the lower key in your right hand, or in the really where it's written, and you have trouble with the overlapping of some of those left-hand chords, just go ahead and play the one note, because I'd rather for you to play, for instance, in that chord there, would you be free? It'd be better, really, for you just to play one note here rather than the two here, and you get in the habit of just playing. You only have room there to do two notes, and we would have to use another inversion of that chord, which you are not used to playing right now. In the event it's a little trouble for you, just go ahead and play it up an octave higher, and you'll eliminate all those problems. So you have the options. If you happen to be playing along and you're in the lower part here, and you realize it's kind of overlapping, I wouldn't jump back and forth like would. Jump up. I wouldn't do that, but if you go on to you maybe get down to a chorus or something where you have a definite change before you shift back from playing high and low at this point. Later on, you will have the option to stay somewhere right in here with your melodies in this range here, and have a little more freedom about movement in the melody. All right, page 34. A lot of left hand played with bass notes and octaves. I have those places marked to give you more color in your playing at this time. All right, we have an anchor. The song goes this way. Most of those X's come at a part, or those octaves come where you'd be playing octave anyway. Now again, I had that, it's very close in here when that, in playing, trying to play overlapping. I really should start an octave higher up here on that. And I can drop down now on this one. You will also notice that your harmony is better if you don't have a wide gap in your playing. For instance, when you get way up here and you're just playing one or two notes, and your notes are down here, there's a gap in the middle of your harmony. That's why I try to keep it as close as I can together without it overlapping, and it will give you better harmonies. These harmonies are better because they're connected and closer together, and your chords better, rather than being separated like this. Hear the difference? That's not so good playing like that, but this is much better if you have it chords like this. You're going to learn probably more of that as we go along, and you hear your music, that keeping the hand together. If I'm going to play up high here, then I'll go ahead and play high in my left hand. And when we learn more chords in the left hand or inversions here, we will get to that in our studies. On page 35 is a very simple song, loved, wonderful song. Nothing funny. Let me just run through the one measure that you're going to have a problem with. Is the first measure on the 1, 2, 3, 4, the fourth score. And I've come to think of it, I've been calling those stanzas here. Those are scores. It just dawned upon me on some of that previous time. I've been talking about the stanzas. Of course, each one of the verses you call that a stanza in a song, but the score of the music, the 1, 2, 3, 4, the fourth score, the first verse plays like this. Makes for real pretty music. All right, I'll start at the chorus and I'll play through that. See there? The harmony there. All right, now on page 36. 36, will be our song that we use our track with today, and there's only one place. You'll notice it in the 1, 2, 3, the third score, and we have a little bass run. Dun, 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 dun. So if we'll roll that track now, this is where after you practice this song several times, then get the track out and the soundtrack out and play along with it. All right, Mike, roll it.
Book 3, Lesson 6, page 36. 1, 2, 3, 4.
I suppose that you notice that there are inversions and there are chords in different positions in here, but I have not marked any of them. By this time, you should be able to recognize them and know for yourself, and you'll be also able to take songs now that are not marked and play those inversions. Page 37, there are two songs on page 37 that there are nothing in those that are unusual, but just put them in there for your enjoyment. Two songs in 6/8 time, two familiar songs that I marked the inversions here. And the other song, I Gave My Life for Thee, they are, I don't have the inversions marked in there, so be careful when you play that one, but it's very easy. There's one. Other score there does not have any inversions, chords in different positions on that. Hey, that should do it for this time. I don't think this lesson, we did not have a lot of things in it that's new, other than the fact of playing some playing some places where you played in octaves and color up your music a little bit more, but also to kind of wean your way from any marks on the music for you to analyze it yourself and be able to establish those chords and know what they are. That'll do it for this time, and then when you're ready for page 38, get all practiced up real good, and we'll be back and take up the key of E flat next time.
Keep those studies up now, and remember, the best form for learning is repetition. So go back over each lesson until you become proficient. Until next time, so long. The Henry Slaughter Gospel Piano Course is a production of Henry and Hazel Incorporated. gospel piano. Since 1968, Henry Slaughter has taught his unique piano styling through the Henry Slaughter Gospel Piano Course. It is designed to be easy enough for the beginner, yet challenging enough to provide a lifetime of study. And now, here is your instructor, Henry Slaughter.
Thank you. Well, we're moving right along in our analyzing chords and playing the new keys. We're taking up the key of E flat and A flat today. Now, in those, you always have to, in the keys that you're in, like if you're in E flat, you always have to be, we're going to be playing chords in A flat, so it's always wise for you to go ahead and, like playing in E flat, now turn over to page 36 where you get acquainted with those inversions in the A flat key. So when we go to A flat, same thing, go to G flat and learn those inversions and those different positions so you'll be acquainted with it because you'll be running across those in the keys. Well, it's not much different on the page 38 except there's a place that we've got marked with a dash for you to play those bass lines just as written. And but I'll just play the chorus of one of my favorite hymns, and it shows you on where we'll be doing some modification or inversions of in the chorus of the song here. I'll give you a little bit more color, but right on the next to the last bar, there's a inversion and a line that we can play. That's that much color. That next to the last bar just makes all the difference. And you putting that in your plan and looking for those places instead of just playing that straight across, notice the difference in it. Unto him against thy day. Now you could get by doing that, but it's so much better if you all right, on page 39 you have your different inversions for the A flat chord. And when you can see those, we didn't have any in the song on page 38, but we will be over here on 39. Get used to those. It's like you have all the other chords. And hearing that. Of course, when you hear it in one key, you learn to hear it in the other keys, too. Page 39 is our track song for the day, and so Mike will roll that. Let's play this, Tell Me the Story of Jesus. Now, you practiced this several times before you try the track, as always, but when you do, then you can turn on the track and play along with it. For enjoyment, page 39, Tell Me the Story of Jesus.
Book 3, Lesson 7, page 39. 1, 2, 3, 4.
And so the way it is on page 39, page 40, we get into A flat. When you get into A flat, you're going to need some of those D flat chords. So on the bottom of page 40, we have the inversions. Play those inversions in the key of D flat. Play several of these. I have a tendency to do another chord when I'm that high instead of this one, and it but I want you to go ahead and stay with the chord that we've taught you so far. The next, it'll be somewhere on down the road before we get into playing two different inversions in our left hand. But that is a little confusing for me. It shouldn't be for you at this point because we haven't introduced those other chords. So after you do that, there's 2 or 3 places in this song where you're going to get E-flat chords in a different position. But I don't even believe we have an A-flat chord in this one, but or D-flat chord. But you will be needing those. So when you're playing in the key of E-flat, A-flat, and D-flat, you're going to be running into them at all kind of times. So get used to playing all those in D-flat inversions, and then let's just play. I'll play through pages 40 and 41 for you. 6/8 time. The measure before the chorus, you may go ahead and play those bass notes in there. I didn't mark it that way, but if you would like, and I think it would add to it if you did, let Jesus come into your heart. And that would help it also. Anytime that you can put in a color like in that way, or there's a bass run, if it's in the music, put it in there. It helps. All right? Now the next song is in 6/4 time, but remember we do that the same way we do the 6/8 time for us playing bass chord on the first beat and then on the 4th beat. Bass on 1 and chords on 2 and 3, and bass on the octave on the 4th count, and the 5 and 6 you play the chords. Hear that? A little tricky place there, but I haven't marked it. It's up to you to get that now. A-flat, E-flat. Have to watch that one real close, okay, because there's several in there I have not marked, and I even on the right-hand side of the page I have shown that there are some question marks what position those chords are. That's to train you to look for it yourself. On the song page 42, there's nothing. Well, there's some chords in there we haven't been using. Say, for instance, on the course particular, "'Tis So Sweet to Trust in Jesus," and we've tried to stay in Book 3 with just as many just major chords as possible. I noticed we have some minor ones in here, especially in this chorus on the second line we have G. And the next one is a minor chord. It's a S-F. The reason you can tell that F is a minor chord is because a F chord has an A in it, A natural, but there's an A flat, so if there's an A flat in there, you know it's a minor chord. All right? I was looking back up to that other line. I want to play that again for you. That's real pretty. The how I proved him o'er and o'er. All right, that makes that harmony real nice. There's nothing strange about the on the bottom page of 42 more about Jesus. Just remember it's 6/8 time. And then let's get into page 43 because I want you to get acquainted with the key of D flat. You'll have to turn the page to get to the different positions in G flat. We'll take it up. A lot of black notes. Just play those, and then there's nothing strange about this if you've got that G flat in there. Well, I confess to you, I play in the key of D flat a lot, and but some of these things, when you get into those G flats, it's a little hard to grab those. I know you have a little more difficulty with these keys, D flat, and of course G flat, and you get into those areas. In the next lesson, we're going to be taking up E and A. It may take you a little more time in working in some of these keys that we don't play in as often. And even if we play in the keys often, it's still a little odd. I guess that's the reason we shun some of the keys, because it's kind of difficult. Well, it's easy to make mistakes. And you even hear me get some clunkers in here because to play the song just as they're written, the alto and the soprano, and to play all those progressions and that we want, way you want you to do it. It's easier for me to just go it by ear and put in those things which I care to, and just throw them in and not put them in there. But take it you don't have to play it as fast as I'm trying to do this. I'm trying to get in as much as the song. I would take it very slow to this song. It's okay. Do these songs. Take it that tempo until you gradually work it up. And the tempo that you want to... Takes time to work it up, Bill. You make a tragic mistake if you try to play it too fast in the beginning. Take them all at the pace that you can do it, gradually work up that tempo. Well, that's about all the time we have today. We'll be getting into, if you care to, you may go ahead and take a little preview over on page 44 and kind of pick out a little bit if you have time. Does Jesus Care? It's a 6/8 tune, it's a time signature. But there's nothing in there that you don't already know we haven't gone through, and just read all the little notations I have on each song. It'll bring attention to those troublesome areas that you may encounter, that some things that you may have not, would not normally see. But little bit by little bit, you're going to see them for yourself. And as we get on through D flat now, and then next lesson we're going to take those keys, take up the A and E, and have fun in those, and we can promise you you'll probably want to be spending some time, take double as much time on these lessons as you have the next lesson as you have the ones previously, because it's a little slower when we get into E and A. I'm that way too, so don't feel like being alone. Well, till the next time, God bless.
Keep those studies up now, and remember, the best form for learning is repetition. So go back over each lesson until you become proficient. Until next time, so long. The Henry Slaughter Gospel Piano Course is a production of Henry and Hazel Incorporated. gospel piano. Since 1968, Henry Slaughter has taught his unique piano styling through the Henry Slaughter Gospel Piano Course. It is designed to be easy enough for the beginner, yet challenging enough to provide a lifetime of study. And now, here is your instructor, Henry Slaughter.
Thank you. Well, here we are on the final lesson in Book 3. And this will bring us up to the halfway point in the piano course. And today's lesson, we'll finish up working in the key of D flat. Got one song to work on. And then the other songs are in the keys of A and E, the piano player's delight. Not so much so, and I think the reason we don't play in these keys, we just haven't had a lot of songs, and we've had it make it too easy for us to transfer them over the key of A flat and the key of E flat. But I think we have a lot of E chords and A chords and playing in B, so I think it's very well that if we don't play in those keys often, we're going to be using these chords. So it's good that you do some songs and do some work here in these keys to acquaint yourself with them. And I, like you, have put that off and tried to go around playing in those keys because others felt more comfortable. I was more sure of myself in those other keys. But like I said, we should study those. But before we get to A and E, let's finish up with D flat and play on page 44, Does Jesus Care? There are no strange things in here that I have got some places marked, but there's one chord in the 1, 2, 3, the third bar of the first score that we do a diminished chord. All through this course, we've tried to stay with the simple chords, just the sevenths, or just a major chord or the sevenths. Last lesson we ran across a minor chord. Today we're going to run across a diminished chord in the third bar there. Our next book, I thought it best for us to wait until we took up the full chords in our right hand. You would better understand in reading chords like the diminished, and we'll get in those, and some of the augmented and the minor chords. You would better feel that and see them as we do full chords in both hands. But I wanted to do this because I didn't want to make it too complicated for you to take up reading these chords in the beginning. But if we can just get the major chords and see those inversions, we've taken a giant step in the ability and the art of analyzing chords. So we'll watch that when we get there. All right, 6/8 times Does Jesus Care? I beg your pardon, I'm not playing in 6/8 time. I should be playing in 6 time. I'm playing it the way that you normally hear the song. So 6/8 is this way. 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Here's that diminished. Take a little time to work on that. You'll be okay. I have marked all those places in this particular song because they are a little catchy if you run up on. I don't want it to confuse you at all, but as you see them one time, the next time you'll be able to see them in other songs the same way. But remember up there on that A, there we had that A flat diminished chord, and if you've forgotten that, we just go back to those book 2, and you can find those diminished. If you play enough of those in those keys, that you'll be able to tell them when you get there on the and seeing that in your music. But if you can play a chord and not even know what it is, if you can't call it, I think you'll be able to turn them very quickly. It's not important that you name them, it's important that you play it. So if you'll analyze, just play all the notes in that chord. You got an A flat, B, and a D. So it's got diminished written all over it. If you just play notes, even if you're playing here, and you play A flat, and those same notes in the left hand, you're going to play the chord all right. And you might not know that's a diminished, but little bit by little bit, I hope that you can tell the diminished chord every time you run across it. And your augmented, it's part of the ear training that you should be getting. Now to A flat. I beg your pardon, now to key of A. And let's turn over and just go ahead and get acquainted with all these sharps. And I would at this point do an extensive study, because we're already playing A. We know that. We've been playing A. And also we've been doing some E's. We haven't played any B's, but we're going to get that one now. Just play those until those become natural. Then the one that we haven't been playing is on page 47, the key of B. First position, second position, third position, okay? First position, second position, and third position. You use that chord in the key of G, but it's something about it that we fear it more when we're playing in A. I do. I think I run across it. I play it in in the key of G, or I'm playing some of the other keys, and I run across a B. I don't have a lot of fear with it. But when I get into, it seems like I'm automatically. And I'm sure you will too, when I'm playing in the key, all those sharps kind of scare me a little bit, and that's because I haven't played them as much as I should, as I have the others, and therefore I have a little anxiety when I reach those places. Page 46. Take it slowly. Pretty. It's all right here if you play that with just a single note. And later on, just two places in that song will give you a little bit of trouble. We played at the cross in Book 2, just playing the single note. This makes it a little more complicated, but quite a bit more embellishing. You'd be all right if you just play that. It was there by faith I received. Now that's permissible, but I think the playing is so much better, and should be, because people are singing it properly. Somebody out there is going to be wanting to sing that line. There by faith I received. Real pretty bass line, and you need to play it with them. That's the only troublesome spot there. I've picked the great old hymn, Onward Christian Soldiers, for our last song in Book 3. It's not an easy song to play. There are lots of inversions, there are a lot of bass line, chords, passages that we can play, but the song really needs it. To play this song and not put these chords in here, or put these passages or these inversions, different positions of chords, it really takes away from the song. Let's, I don't think, I'll play a little bit of it and without the soundtrack, because I would practice it very slowly. It's okay to do this. those are real pretty chords, and it takes a lot of work to do this. There's a lot of passages in that passages I marked, so take it very slowly and work up to the tempo, and when you do, you can get out the track and then play along with it. And then I would say, let's don't move along, don't even think about moving into the next book until you do these pages very well. It will be a tendency to say, let's just jump over this and get to the next things. I'm not going to ever be playing in the key of A and E, and so I can just kind of skip this part. Don't do that. You're here, and you've done so well, and taking every page as it comes, and every lesson. Let's do this, and it'll greatly improve your playing, take away some of that fear of playing in these odd keys. So if Michael wrote the soundtrack, onward Christian soldiers and onward gospel piano players, okay?
Book 3, Lesson 8, page 47. 1, 2, 3, 4.
It's a tough one, isn't it? Yes, it is. That's not easy to play, and you'll be amazed how many of us have difficulty in playing that song in E. I confess to you that when I get the one like this, I know it's got a lot of changes in it, a lot of chords, a lot of passages I want to play just as written to embellish the music. I'm very much tempted to play that thing in E flat, because I know my way around and that much better. But I hope that you'll get just as acquainted with the key of D as you do with D flat, and the key of B. I found it in recent years, and I went for years and never played anything in F sharp or the key of B. And I am finding now that it's necessary that I play in some of those keys. You'll always run across a singer who will say, that song is just a little bit high for me, a little bit low. And I believe in Book 4 we'll be taking up transposition. And it's one of the things you want to learn to do is take a song and play it in different keys, because that's going to be a very much need for you. A lot of that's done by ear, and your ear helps when you start a transpose. And of course there are rules to go by that we'll be talking about too. Now, the last page in the book, I have given a lot of songs that we do not have I've gotten titles to a lot of songs that we did not have time, of course, to put in this course. But out of your hymn book, you should be able to play all these songs now without any problem whatsoever. So, I hope you've enjoyed the studies in Book 3. We'll be back with Book 4 when you're ready, and don't hurry. Till then, goodbye. God bless you.
Keep those studies up now, and remember, the best form for learning is repetition. So go back over each lesson until you become proficient. Until next time, so long. The Henry Slaughter Gospel Piano Course is a production of Henry and Hazel Incorporated.